Diddy's sons have stopped coming into his bail hearings, and the lawsuits against them for rape of minors are heating up. Grace O'Marcaigh alleges that Christian Combs sexually assaulted her on a yacht in December 2022.
He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him.
And once I was in a helpless position and he was sure that he was in a position of power, then he took advantage of the situation.
Diddy's son Christian Combs was just named as a co-conspirator in the lawsuit against Diddy, and it looks like the apple didn't fall far from the tree. There are also allegations that Diddy forced these victims to have sex with prostitutes as he touched himself. He called these situations freak-offs, and oftentimes he recorded them. Here's where some of the allegations against his son Justin Combs come in. So all this takes us back to February, when Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod, filed civil against Diddy. In his lengthy lawsuit, Rod's straight name drops Justin Combs, describing him as someone who solicits prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers. There's actually a picture of Justin Combs with an allegedly underage girl shown in the lawsuit. Now, in this specific instance, Lil Rod alleges at least one underage girl came to Diddy's home for a listening party. A sex worker was also apparently solicited, and a freak-off ensued. As an aside, this is the same night that Lil Rod alleges Diddy forced him to take a laced shot. He started to feel lightheaded and then woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning naked next to his Southeast worker. It's important to note Justin Combs is listed as a defendant on this case because, according to Lil Rod, he facilitated Diddy's alleged RICO enterprise and at times participated. Civil suit points to more accusations against Justin Combs too for his involvement in an alleged shooting cover-up. According to court documents, it happened on September 12, 2022 outside Diddy's Chalice Studios. Lil Rod says Diddy, his son Justin, and Justin's friend, who went by G, were all there when things got heated. Lil Rod says he heard multiple gunshots ring out and later found G on the bathroom floor in the fetal position. Lil Rod says he was bleeding out of his hip and leg area. Lil Rod says he was applying pressure to G's wounds and then asked the crowd to call an ambulance. At that point, both Diddy and Justin Combs disappeared to another part of the studio. Diddy then gave strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced Mr. Jones to lie to the police by telling them that it was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. So that specific allegation involves Diddy's son Justin, but another allegation, an entirely separate civil lawsuit, involves his other son Christian, or King Combs. Grace O'Marcaigh alleges that Christian Combs sadly assaulted her on a yacht in December 2022. And she says it was facilitated by Diddy. Diddy's family has stopped coming to his trial. At his recent bail hearing, only two of his sons, King Combs and Christian Combs, who have been named in the lawsuit against Diddy, showed up. The rest of his 7 kids didn't even bother to come to the hearing, and allegedly they're trying to distance themselves from their father. The allegations of abuse against Diddy are shocking, and there are reports that Diddy was trying to groom his stepson too. Shockingly, his stepson is the one who came to his trial and was allegedly involved in abuse minors alongside his dad.
Too, because this time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children, except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court, but you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around, you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today. Delilah and Jesse weren't there. Chance wasn't there, and the caretakers of his younger children, who aren't of age just yet, they were not present inside the courtroom as well today. But his mom also wasn't in court today. So when Diddy came inside, it was still that standard issued MDC jumpsuit. He's wearing khaki. From that video of, I think that was obtained by Daily Mail back in September, of Diddy playing hacky sack in Central Park, to now he appeared just astonishingly thinner, which you can expect to be inside a federal detention center for a couple months now. A lot different from the luxury lifestyle that he was living before, but he appeared very noticeably thinner. And
Courtney Burgess, a man who was friends with Diddy's ex-wife Kim Porter, and is allegedly handing over freak-off tapes showing Diddy and Sewell contact with minors, is being sued by Diddy's son. Interestingly, Diddy's sons don't even care what their mother has to say and are only interested in the money that Courtney might make if he decides to publish their mother's memoir. Allegedly, this memoir is currently in FBI custody along with 8 freak-off tapes.
He owns the rights to a book that was reportedly based on the alleged memoir of Kim Porter. In fact, according to TMZ, Burgess' phone was seized by the feds, and on it was a copy of a flash drive with material that was used in this book. Here's the problem. Christian and Quincy Combs, these are the sons of Diddy and Kim Porter. Quincy's actually adopted by Diddy. But they are reportedly fighting back, and they had sent Burgess a cease and desist letter to prevent the further sale of this book. They argue this is just an attempt to capitalize on Porter's fame, and that they own the rights to her IP, her intellectual property, like her diary entries, potential manuscript, as her heirs, they own it. And they also want an accounting of current sales of the book. To be clear, though, they aren't acknowledging that there is, in fact, a long-lost memoir from their mother. In fact, they've actually denied that before when there was a similar book, a derivative work, we'll talk about that, published by this guy named Chris Todd on Amazon. They were adamantly fighting against that. They said that their mother wouldn't write this. But what they're basically saying is if something should exist, they own it.
In a recent interview on News Nation, Courtney Burgess described the details of the freak-off tapes that were given to him by Kim Porter, and reportedly these tapes show multiple celebrities engaged in abuse. These tapes verify Diddy's MO. The victims had been drugged and appeared to be minors. It's unclear at this point if any of Diddy's children were part of his freak-off parties, but given that Diddy's stepson was actually pictured there, it's not hard to believe if that's true.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury. Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
Females. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know
appeared to be.
Were. Right.
Sure, appears. Let me rephrase it.
Based on yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were reported having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appear to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appear to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all. To be honest, all.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized.
Yeah.
Meaning this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in what they was doing.
Freddie P., an artist who was allegedly blackballed by Diddy and worked closely with him during his early years, has said that industry insiders always thought that something weird was up between Diddy and his stepson. He reportedly witnesses suspicious behavior between Diddy and his son Christian, and now even lawsuits are saying that Diddy raped minors with his son at his side.
Freaky man. I look at his kids and everything. It's more deeper questions that I be wanting to know. Like, why were you so infatuated with a child that wasn't yours? Were you grooming that little boy? I don't even want to start those conversations. That's not your child. You know what I'm saying? And for you to keep him that close, it's like you kept him that close because he might got your secret. Because he's not your child. So if he's not your child and you that type of person with that type of character, you don't mind actually doing it to him when he finally reaches a certain age. Because he's not yours. And you know in your mind he's not yours. And now you keep him real close to you. You make sure he don't go to his daddy. Why? You make sure he's separated with him and you provide him with everything he wants. Why? You got one of them little Michael Jackson secrets. He got one of them secrets that he can't tell nobody because his manhood gonna be. And not only that, his brother no gonna look at him crazy. Only puppy know. Only God knows puppy. I don't know. All I'm gonna say is, I don't know.
Y'all be truthful?
All I'm gonna say is, who infatuated with another man's son like that? I think that seemed like doom.
The victim bringing the lawsuit against Diddy has also given an exclusive interview to NBC. The woman claims that Diddy wed her along with Jay-Z at an after-party following the 2000s MTV Video Music Awards in New York City. The victim, who is a 38-year-old autistic woman from Alabama, claims that Diddy drugged her, and after she lost consciousness, ride her along with Jay-Z. The woman has named other celebrities in the lawsuit too, and says that she was scared of what Diddy and Jay-Z might do to her if she spoke out.
You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did run your life.
A 38-year-old mother from Alabama who has filed a lawsuit accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z of raping her when she was 13 years old is speaking out to NBC News for the first time. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward and talk today?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough about what I've been through, and it's been hard enough to be quiet. But it's a chapter of my life that I'd like to close.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
No, with having autism is like feeling like you live your life in a shattered proof juggle ball. The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs' limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after-party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have a brilliance about his tattoo that's the Last Supper, because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
At the after-party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
Jay-Z comes in and me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
A male victim has also spoken out about the abuse he faced at the hands of Diddy and said that Diddy actually assaulted him after giving him drinks that had been drugged. The victim gave an exclusive interview on CNN just a few weeks ago detailing.
It was incredibly painful, and he was acting like it was nothing.
Yes, he sat in the dark, but he brought into the light some very disturbing allegations against Diddy.
I was screaming. I was telling him to stop.
More than 24 accusers have filed suit against the still imprisoned rap mogul. But this man is the very first to do an on-camera interview, telling his chilling story to CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister.
He was abusive beyond belief.
The man, identified only as John Doe, says he was hired by a security firm to work at one of Sean Combs' famous white parties in the Hamptons. Hey yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Diddy.
At first, he was incredibly friendly, very gracious.
But the accuser's lawsuit, obtained by expert, claims that Combs targeted him, providing him with drinks throughout the night.
This didn't come from staff or someone holding a tray of drinks. It came from him directly.
Correct. The first drink started to have some effect on me, and I just thought, wow, these are really strong drinks. It wasn't until the second drink, and it was already too late, that I realized that there was something wrong with the drinks.
In the suit filed in October, the man claimed Diddy pushed him into a van, held him down, and sexually assaulted him. He says he could not escape because he had been drugged.
Sean Combs was waiting in the wings. He was watching from some sort of vantage point. And once I was in a helpless position and he was sure that he was in a position of power, and then he took advantage.
Another one of Diddy's alleged victims, Thalia Graves, has also come forward publicly. On September 24, 2024, Graves filed a federal lawsuit against Diddy and his former bodyguard Joseph Sherman, accusing them of drugging and sexually assaulting her in 2000, and one at a Bad Boy Records studio in New York City. Her testimony follows the same pattern alleged by the other victims against Diddy. This time, however, Diddy asked his guard to rip her too.
The latest woman to speak out against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is from Harris County.
Our computer is here with more on the lawsuit that was filed yesterday. Rachel?
Len and Mia, these are the latest accusations against Sean Combs, and it comes about a week after Combs was indicted on federal charges alleging he used his business empire as a criminal enterprise. Now, yesterday, high-powered attorney Gloria Allred appeared with her client. This is Thalia Graves, a Harris County resident who filed a lawsuit against Combs in New York. We are using her name because she has gone public with her claims. Now, in the lawsuit, Graves alleges back in 2001, when she was 25 years old, Combs and his head of security lured her into a meeting at a New York City recording studio where they gave her a drink that caused her to briefly lose consciousness. When she woke up, Graves says she was bound and restrained and was violently raped by Combs. The lawsuit filed Tuesday also claims the alleged assault was recorded and that the video was shown to multiple other men. Graves said she also faced multiple threats that made her stay silent for decades.
The violation I have experienced during the assault has had lasting effect on my body, causing ongoing health problems and complications. The combination of physical and emotional pain has created a cycle of suffering from which it is so hard to break free. I want to continue on this journey towards recovery and healing. I'm glad that he is locked up, but that's a temporary feeling of relief.
54-year-old Combs is in jail facing federal charges including sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He was denied bail twice after pleading not.
Diddy was allegedly sexually abusing children that were younger than his own kids, so it's completely understandable why his family is trying to avoid him. No one wants to be associated with a pedophile, and if the charges against Diddy turn out to be true, it's hard to imagine what his family will go through. Reportedly, Jay-Z and Beyonce were also at the event where the abuse took place, and they not only anticipated but also helped Diddy cover it up.
He said about Jay-Z, artist, the businessman. Well, the complaint begins. Defendant Sean Combs, along with his longtime friend and collaborator Sean Carter, drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards. Another celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Many others were present at the after-party but did nothing to stop the assault. Combs had been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences. He believes he is above the law. He is not. His close friend Sean Carter has been with Combs during many such instances described herein. Both perpetrators must face justice. So that seems to suggest that Sean Carter, Jay-Z, was not only present or participated in this alleged, but essentially a crime, but for other instances. And that's really interesting. That's why I bring up this idea of could he be hit with more lawsuits if you take these allegations as true. Now, the complaint goes on to say, Combs and Carter were not simply occasional collaborators in the music industry. The two men developed a close friendship that has been well documented from the late 1990s to the present. Together, they attended countless music industry events for each other's business ventures, parties, and after-parties. Indeed, the two are apparently so close that Combs stated in 2023 that Carter is the only person, other than Combs' mother, who is allowed to call him by his legal first name of Sean. In 2000, near the height of their fame, power, and influence, Combs and Carter attended the 2000 Video Music Awards in New York City. Afterwards, Combs hosted an after-party for many of the most famous celebrities in the music and entertainment industries, including Carter, which is where the events alleged in this complaint occurred. I should also say that Busby also used this complaint to address an alleged harassment campaign that he claims Jay-Z started after Busby reached out about his involvement in the suit. The complaint reads, Carter was identified in plaintiff's original complaint as Celebrity A. Prior to the filing of this amended complaint, Carter received a letter from plaintiff's counsel requesting for mediation to resolve this matter. Upon present information and belief, Jay-Z responded to said letter by not only filing an utterly frivolous lawsuit, but by also orchestrating a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation against plaintiff's lawyers, their families, employees, and former associates in an attempt to silence plaintiff from naming Jay-Z herein. This effort was meant to scare plaintiff into discredit her counsel. That effort failed. Indeed, plaintiff chose to file this amendment as a result of the egregious conduct perpetuated.
The time flown to New York City to attend a party was drugged and then taken into a private room allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual minor was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping her. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up allegedly by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport. I was given one drink in the SUV and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes. Another instance, an individual, this time not a minor, was attended a group dinner allegedly with Shan Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed again, allegedly with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her anus were torn and sore as the lawsuits pile up and Diddy's own family starts to distance themselves. The weight of these accusations is impossible to ignore. What are your thoughts on the horrifying claims against Diddy and the silence of the celebrities who were allegedly involved? Do you think justice will finally prevail? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for watching Celebrity Spill.